Joining me now at Warcat is 116 weight class CCS champion, senior Kaelyn Siason. Thank you so much for coming out here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just to start off, let's talk about how you got into wrestling.
I got into wrestling from my brother. I went to one of the practices and I noticed like, oh, this sport's kind of cool. Maybe I should try out next practice. And ever since then, I've really liked it, loved it.
Yeah, so your brother wrestles, but talk to me a little bit about how important wrestling is in your family.
It's super big and important. My grandpa and all my uncles done it. They always mention to us like, oh, you guys should try it. Like since we're so small and tiny, they're like, oh, it would be a good sport for you. It's like meant for everyone.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me that you used to do competitive cheer and dance. So what was that like for you when you were so young?
It was fun at the time. It was all I knew at the time too, so because I used to go to my brother's football games, and so I always saw the cheerleaders and I was like, oh, let's try it out. So it was different. Like it was a lot of like being like cheery and preppy and all that.
And how has it helped you when you made that transition to wrestling?
It's helped me with my flexibility in wrestling. So for wrestling, like a lot of like the people like struggle with me because like I'm super bendable and flexible. So yeah.
So you wrestle and then you go to school because you said academics is very important to you. What else do you like to do?
I like to be a part of like school events. So like doing like A's, B and all that, or like Link Crew, there's where we help out like incoming freshmen throughout like the school year.
Do you see the sport growing, you know, in the future a lot? Like it's going to be normal for girls to be wrestlers?
Actually, yeah, I have seen a growth throughout the team. When I first started off, there wasn't like a lot of girls. There was probably like 4 to 5 of us. And like this year, there's probably like 6, 8 of us. And then I've been to tournaments where they went from like probably like a couple hundred to like about 500, 600 girls in a tournament. As of right now, people are saying like they want to try out wrestling, seeing all of us wrestle, and like I show like a bunch of people my videos, and like, oh my god, that's so cool. Like I'm like, yeah, you guys should totally try it out. And actually, I've gotten about like 2 to 3 girls to start wrestling, so hopefully like they spread it out to other people as well.
So wrestling is unique, you know, you don't have to be over 6 feet tall or super strong. So explain what it's like, you know, that anyone can really join wrestling if they do the right kind of training.
Well, for as long as I know, it's like I've known people like different sizes, different all that. So for me, being tiny, like it's always good to be like part of the smaller weights, or like the bigger weights wouldn't be a problem. It just got to be faster. So it just depends on like what skill level you have. So like if you're super fast, that'd be great if you're like in the lower weights and all that. Or like for the long people, like they have no problem like just being able to like reach over and like grab your ankle, so you get that easy takedown. Or like especially like the super fast people, like they get by you real quick like that. Like it's always like the smaller ones are the faster ones, and the bigger weights are like the more like muscular, more like stronger type. But either way, like you're strong in this sport, like no matter what you do. So if you do the right training, like see for me, I mainly have to do like cardio training to keep up my speed and all that. But like for my like heavier weights, we always tell them like, oh, you got to be lifting constantly. You got to keep like that like strong build.
Yeah. So you wrestle for high school and club then? Okay.
Yeah, I actually wrestle with I actually started off in a club over in Galway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I first started off.
It's crazy that you didn't think that you were a natural at it because you are a section champion. So what do you feel that you could do to make the sport grow and get people to, you know, pay more attention to girl wrestlers? Well, things I've tried in the past is like I always talk to like all my friends, and they're always telling me like, oh, you're so good at this, like how do you do this? I was like, honestly, like if you just put your time into it and like your mind and like all that, I like to tell everyone like, oh, you guys should just try it out, like come to one of my practices, you know, like we can roll around a couple times and like see how you feel about it. And then at the end, all of them are always loving it because yeah, it's hard, but they always find like a plus out of it, you know? Yeah. So I'm not a wrestler personally, so talk to me a little bit how the scoring works and how you get points. Okay, so normally like a takedown would be 2 points. So it's like when you're like behind them and like they're all on all fours or like threes. And then when you get back points is when like you can either do like
a turn. So like what I like to do is like I like to do like my arm bars and then like halves, run my halves. So where their back is like against the mat, or like when you can pin them like flat on the mat, like all back. Another one is like if you're on top bottom. So if the bottom person escapes, they get 1 point for escaping. Another one is, let's see, also stalling. Stalling's a big one. So if you're like trying to run away from them and all that, the other opponent gets a point and all that, so yeah.
And are there different rules between boys wrestling and girls wrestling?
No, we all have the same rules.
Yeah. And do you work with the boys ever?
Yeah, I actually like working with the boys better because I feel like they push me to do better. Like they give me a different look compared to girls because the thing is that it's known as like girls move different compared to boys. Yeah. And boys are a little more like swifter and like smoother, and like girls are more like just get on and like scrap it out.
And you mentioned that it actually is a big team sport. So how do you feel your team is going to do this year?
Well, this year it may be a little different because our team has throughout the years has went from like a really big team where we've done really good to where like this year it comes out to be a little smaller. But with the wrestlers that I know, we all did pretty good. A bunch of them are first years, and like throughout the years I saw them progress. So I was like, so by this year I think like they should be doing better and like placing better, and like honestly if I push them and they push me enough, we all should be doing pretty good as a team.
And what do you hope to accomplish individually this year?
Well, I didn't get to place first in about 2-3 tournaments. So at Napa and Baylor Bash, I'd like to at least try to get first or like place a little higher than I normally did. And then for state, I really want to place in that because I need to redeem myself there.
Do you see yourself wrestling in college?
As of right now, it's kind of iffy. By the end of the year, it's going to be when I make my final decision if I'm going to or not. Because I'm like, I see the way my brother is, and he's super like into it and all that. And like, yes, he focuses on his like academics and all, but like for me, it's like I need like my academics. Like I need to focus on that more than anything else.
And you are a senior though, so have you been applying to schools already?
I am starting to apply. I've started to, but I haven't finished them yet. I've been super busy right now.
Are you looking to stay local, go away?
I'm trying to probably like 3 hours away or more. That's it.
Okay. And what do you think about MMA?
I haven't really looked much into it. Like I like watching all the matches and all that, and like I always thought it was a cool sport, but I just feel like it's like that one's like too much for me because that's like a lot in one.
Yeah. So you don't think you would ever pursue that?
No.
Well, thank you so much for coming out here and educating me on wrestling and what it's like to be a girl in this sport. And we just wanted to personally thank you with this Ike's gift card. I know you have to watch your diet, but go ahead and get yourself a sandwich.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaelyn, for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.